Hi Sandra, these are the videos I promised you after playing with the number 137 and the number 9 to show you what I found out. Now if anybody else is watching, if you ever had an interest in number 137 or the number 9, you'd probably know that 137 in the physics world is a huge number, and number 9 is a very mysterious number. So I decided to put the two of these together and see what I could come up with, never knowing it was going to lead me to geometrical shapes that were going to end up being numbered perfectly because of these two numbers. Now, it was a lot of fun doing that, Sandra, and I know you wanted to see it. So it's going to take me a couple videos to show you. But if anybody else out there is interested and want to know a little bit more about these numbers before I get started, you can go to Wikipedia, and there you're going to see what huge numbers these two are, how they can do things that no other number seems to be able to do. That's why I picked them and put them together. Well, I kind of picked 137 because it's a really mysterious number in my life. Whenever it shows up out of the blue, strange synchronicities seem to happen to me. And they're pretty cool, actually. But that's why I really like the number 137. And the number 9, well, I was introduced to that number by a gentleman named Marco Rodin. And he showed me how when you play with it, you can do a lot of things with it that no other number can do in the 1 to 9 sequence. So, like I said, I put the two of them together. I ended up going to geometrical shapes that were perfectly numbered, which, when I looked on the internet, I never found any of these shapes that had perfect numbers on them. So I thought that was pretty cool. So, I'm going to start from the beginning, Sandra, and I'm going to show you how this little journey started. First off, I was given two sets of arbitrary numbers, 1, 2, 3, 41, 43, and 47. The second set was 11, 13, 17, 23, 29, and 31. Now, they didn't look like a lot at first. They just looked like two arbitrary sets of numbers, until I realized the first set equaled 137. Now, that caught my attention. I thought, okay, if that number's showing up, there must be more to this. So I added up the second set, and it came to 124. Now, that didn't seem to mean a lot to me, but I kept looking. The next thing I noticed was 1, 3, and 7 were showing up in the first sequence, and 1, 3, and 7 were showing up in the second sequence. So that kept my interest. Then I decided I'd add these two together, and I realized they equaled 261. Now, as soon as I seen that, I knew they equaled the number 9. And how is that? Because 2 plus 6 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So I knew if 9 was showing up in the answer, it had to be showing up in the question as well. And it wasn't in the 29. I knew these numbers, putting them together in a certain way, would mirror the number 9. So to do that, I had to do what's called casting out nines. And I'll give you a quick little lesson on how that's done, so you can understand what I did to find 9 in the answer as well as in the question. Okay, so here's the two sets of arbitrary numbers that I started with equaling 261. Here they are after casting out nines. Now I'll show you how I did that. When you're casting out nines, all numbers have to remain in the 1 to 9 sequence. But as you can see, 41, 43, they're outside of that. So how do we get them into the 1 to 9 sequence? Well, this is how casting out nines works. A 1 is a 1 because it's in the sequence. 2 is in that sequence. 3 is in the sequence. But 41 is not in the sequence, so we have to get it in the sequence. And to do that, we add it together. 4 and 1 equals 5. 4 and 3 equals 7. 4 and 7 equals 11. Why does that now equal a 2? Well, because 11 is 1 plus 1 equals 2. That's called casting out nines. Now I know 137 equals, if I add them up, 11. And 11, we've got to break it down to keep it in the 1 to 9, equals a 2. So I know after casting out nines, this has to equal 2. So as you see, it does. 1 and 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6. 6 and 5 is 11, which is a 2. 2 and 7 is 9. And 2 is 11. Again, break it down, equals 2. Now let's do the second set, casting out nines. 11 is 1 and 1 is 2. 1 plus 3 is 4. 1 plus 7 is 8. 23 is 2 plus 5. 2 plus 3 equals 5. 2 plus 9 is 11. We break that down again. 1 plus 1 is 2. 3 plus 1 is 4. So there's this sequence after casting out nines. Now 1 and 2 and 4 equals 7. So we know this sequence has to equal 7 if it's going to be correct. So 2 and 4 is 6. 6 and 8 is 14. 1 and 4 is 5. Plus 5 is 10. A 10 is now a 1. 1 and 2 is 3. 3 and 4 equals 7. So I know that this sequence is correct after casting out 9s. So that's a quick little explanation about how that works. But you can do it any time with any numbers. And when you do, you always keep them between the 1 and 9 sequence. And when you do, that's called casting out 9s. Now, I'm still looking for the 9 though. And I don't see it here really, and I don't see it here. So I kept going to see where I would find it. And this is where I found it. Okay, so here's the two arbitrary sets of numbers I started with. Here they are after casting out 9s. Now you're going to see the 9 come out. 1 and 2 equals 3. 3 and 5 is 8. 7 and 2 is 9. 2 and 4 is 6. 8 and 5 is 13, which we have to keep it between 1 and 9, so 1 and 3 is a 4. 2 and 4 equals 6. So then I brought them out, and I found the 9. 3 and 9 equals 12. 8 and 4 equals 12. 6 and 6 equals 12. 1 and 1 is 3. 1 and 2 is 3. 1 and 2 is 3. 1 and 2 is 3. So 3, 3, and 3. Perfect symmetrical numbers now equal 9. So all of this over here, when broken down, is actually 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 9. That's the fun of playing with the number 9. Whenever you find her in the answer, you'll always find it in the question somehow. So after breaking it all down, this is where I found it, which I knew I would. Now after I discovered this, I decided I wanted to go a little further and play another game. So the new game was, let's play with 1, 3, 7 and the number 9. So this is what I did next. That, as I said, led me to geometrical shapes being perfectly numbered, which, as I also said, I didn't expect. So I'll show you now how I went on that journey and what started it and where I finished.